Los Angeles. It goes by many names. The City of Angels, La La Land. It's also widely considered the car chase capital of America.
Oh no, he's gonna hit. That's it. Oh, she's gonna lose control. Oh, she's rolling it. Comes the police here. They're gonna do a pit. Wow, right there, right in front of that car. Perfect pit maneuver.
Last year, LAPD officers were involved in over 1,100 vehicle pursuits, with thousands more across Southern California being handled by CHP and other local law enforcement agencies. It's March 26, 2025, KTLA's Sky 5 overhead as 3 high-speed pursuits unfold across SoCal, all in less than 3 hours.
Oh, it looks like a tire came off possibly of that vehicle.
In Simi Valley, a trio of retail theft suspects ditched their car on the side of the road before taking shelter in a backyard shed. In Santa Monica, a suspect in a stolen van runs through red lights, narrowly avoiding pedestrian.
Oh, the pedestrian.
Oh, wow.
Look at that. Had to run. Oh, man.
Before the road runs out. And in the San Fernando Valley, a suspect leads CHP on a bizarre high-speed chase after claiming his brakes were failing, what ultimately led to this pursuit's termination. As lights and sirens blare on the ground, watch these encounters from our eye in the sky. This is Caught on Camera. It's 4:07 p.m. at the Camarillo Premium Outlets. A retail theft is reported. Over $2,000 in clothing and shoes taken from a Nike outlet store. Deputies from the Ventura County Sheriff's Office respond, where they locate a vehicle fleeing the scene, and the pursuit is on.
It's a high-speed chase, 120 miles an hour at one point. We're about 97, almost 100 miles an hour right now. Heavy traffic. We're eastbound on the 118 freeway. This started along the 23 freeway when Ventura County Sheriff's tried to pull this vehicle over. We're trying to get the want on the vehicle, but the vehicle took off. It did exit at Terra Rijada for a few seconds and then got back on the 23. It's now on the 118 eastbound and is in Simi Valley. So we're keeping an eye out for the Sheriff's Department. The airship is going to be arriving shortly, but this vehicle driving very fast on the 118 freeway in some heavier traffic. In fact, we saw it coming around a curve on the 118, and it looked like it hit one of the vehicles. It tried to split lanes between one of the vehicles there in the slow lane, and it looks like it may have scraped that vehicle, but continued on here, possibly hitting another one doing the same thing. So we're looking at 96 miles an hour right now, and the Ventura County Sheriff's trying to catch up to the vehicle.
The Mercedes increases its lead on officers as it speeds down the shoulder, but suddenly, the pursuit takes a turn.
Oh!
Watch again as the front right tire of the fleeing Mercedes flies off, hitting the back of a semi-truck before bouncing back down the 118. Despite being down to 3 tires, the trio of suspects continue on.
So they may have a problem or may have an issue with this vehicle now with possibly one tire missing. We'll see what happens.
It's not long before we find out. Seconds later, on the Topo Canyon Road exit.
Hard on the brakes. He hits the brakes. That car's disabled likely. Oh no, the car's going to roll away. 2 suspects running. The driver in that pink. There's a third one coming out of the back. We're going to stick with the driver right there, and he's going southbound away from the freeway into a neighborhood here and jumping a fence. They're all 3 going to stick together here, and we should be seeing the airship coming up overhead. Let me come out to a wider shot. They're all in this backyard. This is going to be off of Woodhaven, and they're running still together in that backyard, maybe trying to get into the shed. One's going into the shed, and the second one's going into the shed. The driver there, he's going to go in the shed. All 3 in the shed here.
Then, the wait. The minutes tick by. The suspects inside that backyard shed as law enforcement navigate towards the 2400 block of Woodhaven Court. Meanwhile, residents unaware of the unfolding situation just feet away.
So we got a pedestrian here walking in the cul-de-sac here, unknown to them that there's 3 suspects in that backyard.
A potentially dangerous situation. No word on whether the hiding suspects are armed as they get comfortable inside the shed.
They probably think they're in the clear because they gained a big wide distance between the sheriff's department vehicles and their vehicles when they were going 120 using that shoulder of the road. Also, the airship wasn't quite over the pursuit when they stopped, so the airship and the police, or the sheriffs I should say, were at a loss of keeping an eye on them.
The 3 suspects not in the clear as responding officers arrive on scene.
Here we go. We have, this is going to be Simi Valley PD that have the cul-de-sac now blocked off here, and we should be seeing them advance into this backyard to make the arrest.
You hope the homeowners there are not at home right now as all of this is unfolding. 3 suspects hiding in the shed after a high-speed pursuit.
Officers assess the scene as backup rushes to their location.
It looks like they're not sure exactly which house it is because they didn't have the airship overhead. They didn't get the direct address to it, so they're just kind of keeping an eye on all 3 of those homes there in the screen. But yeah, that's the situation right now. And we'll see them make an approach soon once they figure out which house it is.
Guns drawn, law enforcement closes in. The situation increasingly tense as deputies from Camarillo and Moore Park and officers from the Simi Valley Police Department decide their next move.
Looks like that's the Sheriff's Department helicopter there overhead. There is now black and white units behind the car that was abandoned on the side of the road, and police units have now all but surrounded the backyard where these 3 suspects are hiding.
I am just kind of curious, Gil, do police ever reach out to you or law enforcement reach out to you if you were able to spot something in the air that they maybe hadn't caught up to yet?
Yes, in fact, the airship was talking to my pilot, Jim Pollard, during the chase, was on their way, and because the units were so far back, they lost sight on the ground, and they were relying on us to give a location as he was exiting Tapo Canyon. My pilot pointed that out, and then they responded to this cul-de-sac. So they were able to get eyes on that shed right away as soon as those officers rolled up, and now this area is completely surrounded.
In this game of hide-and-seek, it appears the suspect's luck is about to run out.
So far, no activity in the shed. They're not coming out, and we should be seeing the police move in a little closer or put out a call to that shed to come out with their hands up. Hopefully the call out from the officers here on the loudspeaker might bring them out of the shed. They have nowhere to run. They have nowhere to go. They're completely surrounded. That should be the sense that they get to come out with their hands up and surrender, but it doesn't always work out that way.
The shed surrounded with police and canine units in the cul-de-sac, officers in the yard next door, and even back near the abandoned Mercedes, deputies move in.
Yeah, they feel confident enough to do this. They're going to move in to the gate, possibly open the gate and move into the shed. We'll see. But at this point, no movement from the shed at all. We'll see if they give a call out as they get close to the fence. And as they are there now, we'll see what happens if they go try to open that gate. Let's see if it's locked. He's going to reach over. Unlocked. That's good. And they're going to move right in. So they're just feet away from those 3 suspects.
Sure. A very tense situation right now. Those officers don't know if these suspects are armed, what they are capable of, or what their intentions are. So a very tense situation. As police act carefully here, you can see they've got a shield, guns drawn. Deputies here move in to apprehend these suspects.
Nowhere to run. The suspects know the game is up and open the shed door.
Here they come. All right, they are coming out with their hands up.
And that's a wise decision. That was the rear passenger. That's the driver in the pink and the front passenger in the black hoodie. They're laying down. The guy in the black hoodie wanted to take a picture, it looked like.
Yeah, that is not, do not do that. That is not what we want to see. That's not what Sheriff's Department wants to see with guns drawn, is a hand in a pocket. Not wise to do that in front of multiple law enforcement officers with a gun on you.
But it would appear that they are complying right now. They're laying on the ground with their hands above their heads, just like officers are telling them to do. And they will soon be taken into custody and taken to jail.
The 3 suspects, ages 15 to 28, are taken into custody, arrested for organized retail theft and conspiracy. The driver hit with additional charges of evading and child endangerment. The 2 adult suspects are booked and post bail. The juvenile cited and released to a responsible party. The entire incident caught on camera. The Santa Monica Pier, one of the most iconic spots dotting the SoCal coast. It debuted in 1909, and today, alongside Pacific Park, provides some 8 million visitors a year with a one-of-a-kind atmosphere as they take in crashing waves, the salty air, the food, and fun. The pier also marks the end of Route 66, but on this day, Friday, March 26th, it's the end of the road for a different reason.
Over a pursuit right now, and this looks like it's on Santa Monica Boulevard in Santa Monica, California.
Yeah, very, very dangerous at high speeds, and this suspect clearly desperate to get away. Gil Levis watching it at Sky 5. Gil?
Mike and Cher, we understand that this pursuit started with Simi Valley PD on the 118 freeway eastbound, was high rate of speed on the 118 freeway, got to the 405, went southbound, all the way through the Sepulveda Pass, exited here, and is now on Santa Monica Boulevard, weaving in and out of traffic. We saw him on the wrong side of the road.
A 21-year-old suspect is behind the wheel of a stolen work van. The van belongs to the Santa Clarita-based heating and cooling repair company, World Appliance.
The wrong side of the road. The police are still behind him. That's an LAPD airship that went through our shot there, and he's going to continue. He's going to run out of territory, though. He's going right towards the beach, so we'll see what the driver decides to do when he gets there, or maybe turn before that. But here he goes, wrong side of the road. Wow, very dangerous. Fortunately, no cars coming at him. He's going to cut back into the normal side of traffic there, westbound Santa Monica Boulevard now, and he's got some heavy traffic and an intersection. He's got people there crossing, oh man, right through that turn pocket and cutting off that vehicle. Very dangerous. We have the LAPD airship overhead that's keeping track of the vehicle if the ground units drop back far enough, but I'm sure that they have already due to the traffic. But we're seeing him hitting his brakes here. Might be turning right here. Oh, look at that. He's got a bicyclist right there. He's cut right in front of that person. He's going to be going northbound here. I believe that's 11th Street, but desperate to get away.
Desperation on full display as the driver runs a red light at Arizona and Lincoln, threading the needle between 2 passing vehicles before turning onto Santa Monica Boulevard.
I think that they were trying to attempt a pit maneuver at one point. Is that correct?
Well, they got in pretty tight there after he went through that intersection, but now they've dropped back due to traffic. So they do want to try a pit maneuver, but the speeds are a little too high, the driving's a little too erratic, and there's too many people on foot and in cars. He's fishtailing there on that right turn back on, this is going to be Broadway, I think that is. People in crosswalks, boy, this is so dangerous here at this hour in this area. Oh, look at this. He's going to go right through that intersection, almost getting hit. Oh, the pedestrian.
Oh, wow.
Look at that. Had to run. Oh, man. I'm telling you, that's several times that we've seen this driver do that with pedestrians. A person on a bicycle almost got hit. Wow, very dangerous. Look at all the people there on the corner. He's going to continue here. He's running out of real estate, though. He's got nowhere to go.
More pedestrians run out of the way to avoid the stolen van as it barrels indiscriminately down Broadway. But things are about to escalate as the suspect makes his next move.
Here he goes, left turn. This is going to be on Ocean Avenue, and you know how busy that street is.
Yeah, this is just so dangerous, and exponentially so when you have this much foot traffic and the cross traffic, and a desperate attempt by a suspect. You put all that together, and it's a recipe for disaster here. It potentially, if this doesn't get out of the Santa Monica proper area, and at the very least back on a freeway where you eliminate the foot traffic and the cross traffic, potentially such a very dangerous situation, especially with a driver that is so desperate like this. Again, this is a work truck. Gil, you said CHP took over. Is it Santa Monica PD now that we're on surface streets?
You know, I haven't had a chance to look at the units that are directly behind it. It might still be Simi Valley that's in pursuit, that's trailing them. I know the CHP they were talking about it. They were trying to get units into position. They were making calls even, oh no, he's going to hit that car, he's going to go in. Well, that car might have tried to stop it. That car may have tried to stop the pursuit there, forced them against against that wall onto the sidewalk, but he's continuing now. He's slowed down a little bit. Maybe that caused some damage to the tire on those passenger sides, but wow, that driver maybe trying to get out of the way, inadvertently rams him into the sidewalk and into that fence, but continues. Here we go. We are Olympic Boulevard, and we might see the pit here. Let's zoom in, and that is Simi Valley. So,
Wow.
The stolen van survives that collision, but just over a minute later, the suspect's luck and the road runs out.
he's hitting the brakes.
And
He's on
you're
the
seeing a
brakes.
very, very dangerous pursuit through the heart of Santa Monica at a time when you have an increase in foot traffic, obviously an increase in work traffic from the motoring public, and cross traffic as well on surface streets, all of it making for a dangerous situation.
And here he goes through the intersection right there. Another near miss. You know, this has been so heart-stopping to watch. You see him nearly hit a pedestrian that was crossing the street, nearly hit a bicyclist when he was trying to make a right turn through the intersection. And now he's stuck in traffic. And here we go. Foot bail, hit a car, and he's running for it.
Wow. He just rammed right into that car that was stopped. That poor person didn't know what was going on. This guy's running down the street. This is Colorado Avenue. They're going to pull up right alongside of him. We're going to try to get over to the right a little bit. We're losing him behind the building, but he's continuing to run. Let's see. Yeah, he's going to continue straight towards the ocean at this point. He's got the intersection here. He's going to go through the intersection and right. Well, let's see where he ends up on the pier. He's going to go to the pier. We might see this guy in the ocean here in a second. He's running out of gas. He's a lot slower.
Oh, yeah. He's run out of gas.
He might be just giving up.
Yeah.
That's it.
There you go.
He's run out of gas, and he's going down.
Simi Valley's K-9 unit stands by as the pursuit, which began on the 118 before making its way down the 405 toward Santa Monica, comes to an end after a series of near misses. The suspect, a Santa Monica resident, apprehended, later booked for possession of a stolen vehicle, 2 counts of hit and run, and felony evading. Meanwhile, the van is now back with its rightful owner.
We're going to move ourselves away from that commercial break and into this breaking news. CHP officers in pursuit. Gil Levis overhead in Sky 5. Some unusual circumstances, Gil.
Yep. Mike, it's a new pursuit here. This is a vehicle here traveling southbound on the 101 freeway through the Cahuenga Pass. California Highway Patrol on this pursuit. He might do a pit maneuver right here. We'll see. There's vehicles nearby, so they're holding off on that. But this vehicle was driving on the shoulder of the road on the 405 freeway. Here comes the pit. They're going to try to spin him out on the freeway. He's losing control, and he's going to continue. Unfortunately, they didn't get quite a good grab on that bumper as they wanted to.
Just before 6:30 p.m., California Highway Patrol spots the driver of a dark sedan on the shoulder of the southbound 405. They initiate a pursuit when the driver refuses to stop, but a twist. The driver calls into CHP dispatchers, telling them his brakes are failing and he can't stop. Sky 5 joins the chase on the 101.
He's now evading these officers. It is a full-blown pursuit. They're going to try to cut him off here. Oh, man, look at that move. But he's hard on the gas now. It looks like he might be exiting here on Cahuenga and dragging his bumper as they try to do that pit maneuver. This is not good because he's going into some heavy foot traffic area as well as vehicle traffic.
Yeah, and you've got a dangling bumper now that could come off at any moment. We're about to see if those brakes really do work. And obviously you can't hear, but yeah, they are effective enough to slow down at high speed. And look at him moving now on surface
coming
streets.
at us, Jim.
This suspect was driving again on the shoulder of the freeway along the 405. You see it from time to time, frustrated, impatient drivers trying to get around traffic, and they'll move onto the shoulder. Apparently, law enforcement got wind of this and tried to pull this suspect over, at which point the chase began, and now he's back on the 101 northbound. Again, on the shoulder, Gil, it seems to be a favorite spot for this driver.
Absolutely, but this time at a higher rate of speed, 65 miles an hour plus, and the driver here in heavier traffic going the northbound 101 freeway now, back down the Cahuenga Pass towards the San Fernando Valley, and we have nothing but brake lights up ahead, so he's on this pass going uphill, and we'll see what he decides to do if he tries to get off the freeway or not, but it looks like he's going to stay on that shoulder for the duration.
The sedan, dragging a bumper behind after that failed CHP pit maneuver, continues to drive erratically, speeding down the ever-tightening shoulder, that bumper kicking up dust as the driver poses a threat to all those nearby, narrowly avoiding cars as he weaves back and forth.
He is again on the shoulder of the freeway. This is the original violation we believe he's wanted for by CHP. Obviously now felony evading. Add that to the list, and a growing number of charges as the suspect continues to run in desperate fashion, much like the one we saw just moments ago here on KTLA. CHP again in pursuit. And this shoulder, you know, it's bigger in some spots and smaller in others, making it difficult for CHP, Gil, to stay behind him.
Absolutely, and you can see how difficult it is for the driver to even stay in control, hitting some dirt at times going up onto that shoulder of the shoulder. So here he is in the gore point. He's going to come right behind that Mercedes, I think that is, and he's going to cut in, cross into lanes now. So we see a little bit more aggressive driving here in the middle of the freeway. Now he's got the 170-101 split here. We'll see which direction he goes. If he stays in these lanes, it'll be 101 freeway back towards the east. I'm sorry, back towards the west. So we'll see if he comes back over at the last minute or not. He's got some room to run here on that part of the freeway, and it looks like he's committed right now. Nope, let's see. He's going to go 170 freeway northbound.
The suspect now committed to the northbound 170 after stints on the southbound 405, southbound 101, Cahuenga Pass, and northbound 101. The driver looking for an open road as he takes wide swings across multiple lanes, all while dragging that bumper behind, a bumper that just refuses to fall off.
That bumper becomes a problem for anybody he cuts off because it's an extension of the car at this point. He might be exiting here. Let's see. He's got on the off-ramp here. This is going to be definitely off the freeway. So this is going to be off at Oxnard. And we got a sweeping off-ramp here. Let me come out to a wider shot. He's got traffic up ahead. Nowhere to go. So let's see if he tries to go between cars or not. No, he's going to hold off. Thankfully not hitting anybody.
Those brakes clearly working. The suspect crosses the intersection. The destination ahead, the parking garage of the NoHo West Shopping Center.
And this is what we're seeing increasingly with pursuits, where drivers will try and make their way into a parking garage and get away on foot. And we've seen drivers with some success with that tactic as well. More often than not, they're caught. But as you see this driver clearly with an attempt here in the parking garage to evade authorities and likely get out of the car and try and blend in a crowd.
Sky 5 pulls out. No sign of the dark sedan, which has disappeared into the massive 800,000 square foot parking structure with its nearly 2,600 spaces, 2,600 places to hide. After leading CHP on a dangerous crosstown chase, is the suspect hunkered down, waiting for the coast to clear? Or, as reports suggest, has he abandoned the car, taking off on foot? So far, no reports of any arrests, the suspect evading capture. Still, the incident is caught on camera.